Hi everybody. The theme of this video is creating lists, a checklist of things to do for a spouse who needs care, or a list of things to do if you have a spouse who has memory loss but is not yet diagnosed with dementia, or a list of things to do for a spouse who has a lot of health issues and dementia and other issues. Now, this video comes as the result of a recent news event. And I realize my discussing this will somehow date this video. Whether you are watching it a year or 5 years from now, there will be an associated story with a link on my website page that's below this video that you can go to find the story. Now, the story of this event really, it's timeless, because it shows and paints a picture of how family caregivers, husbands, wives, partners, adult children, grandchildren, friends, really anybody, can fail to see the possibility and the likelihood of unexpected events that you cannot even imagine would happen. And the reason I'm making this video and sharing this video is because I've worked in this field professionally for 25 years. There are few things that surprise me and few things that I haven't seen with my clients and family caregivers. So when I heard the story, it was just unfortunate, and my thought was, how could this possibly have happened? But then I look at my daily work and I realize that so many caregivers, because they lack experience, don't realize what can happen, or they don't see the link between A and B, or they think that they're getting good advice from someone and that person doesn't have the extensive experience to share a checklist or a list of things that they should be looking at. So the goal of this video is to give you a short list of things to do if you are a married couple, a spouse, a partner, if you're an adult child, you're worried about your parents, you are grandchildren, worried about your grandparents. And this list really does apply regardless of your age. Whether or not a spouse currently needs care, will need care in the future, whether a spouse has memory loss or they have full-on dementia or Alzheimer's. So you're probably wondering, what news story am I talking about? Well, let me just start by sharing a little bit about my background and why I'm qualified to talk to you about this, and then I will share that story. So don't go away, because this is so important, so important. If this is your first time on my channel, I'm Pamela D. Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker who helps adults and caregivers work through health, financial, and legal aspects of caregiving, including navigating family relationships and the importance of having care discussions and planning. I also serve as an expert witness for law firms and their clients in matters of guardianship and conservatorship, memory care, care management, home care, and more. You can learn more about me and my professional background by going below this video. There are links to my website, PamelaDWilson.com. You can find my bio, services, how to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. Please do like this video, click the button, follow my channel, click that button, share this video and other videos, and please comment, even if it's only to say thank you or to share your story. One comment, one thank you helps other people find their way here, so by doing that, you are doing a good deed for somebody else. So the story in the news this February and March of 2025 is the story of the unexpected death of actor Gene Hackman, who was diagnosed with advanced Alzheimer's disease. He was 95 years old. His wife, Mrs. Hackman, whose name was Betsy Arakawa, was his caregiver. She was 65 years old. So this is an age gap marriage, 30 years difference. So basically we have probably a generally healthy caregiver, a spouse, caring for a spouse with advanced Alzheimer's disease. And let me be clear, this is a very serious story. It's a sad story. And I mean no disrespect to the Hackmans by sharing this. My purpose in sharing this is to show how anyone, regardless of their life experience, can miss the fact that unexpected stuff happens, and that having a plan and a backup plan is important. And regardless of how healthy or capable you think you are as a caregiver, things can happen, especially if two of you live alone or you live alone. You can never be too careful in making a backup plan if you're a caregiver or if you're a person taking care of your own health and you live alone. So if you read the news story, you can find it. There will be a link below this video to an article on my website this week. You will learn that Mrs. Hackman, Betsy, ran errands on February 11th out of the home. She sent an email. And then after that, according to investigators, no further communication. No cell phone, no email, no nothing. So this means that she could have died unexpectedly on February 11th or February 12th. Now, Gene Hackman, her husband, who had advanced Alzheimer's, and obviously the news didn't share how advanced this was, but if you're a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's and it's pretty advanced, you might realize that maybe they shouldn't be left alone. Maybe they need reminders to eat and drink. Maybe they need help getting dressed. Maybe they need help going to the bathroom. Maybe they're super forgetful. Well, he died on February 18th. And the reason that authorities know that he died is that he had a pacemaker that showed some abnormal signs of heart rhythm and then nothing else. So how were they found? Mr. and Mrs. Hackman were found by a maintenance worker who came to the home to do work on February 26th. This means that Mrs. Hackman Arakawa had been dead for 15 days, and Mr. Hackman, Gene, had been dead for 8 days. He was found on the floor in the home entryway. She was found on the floor in the bathroom. She died unexpectedly from hantavirus, which is a virus linked to rodent droppings. So you, like me, might be wondering, how on earth does something like this happen? So as a sole caregiver for a husband or a wife, put yourself in this situation. You're probably a 24/7 caregiver, and maybe you don't want to bring any help into the home. You're thinking, well, I'll just do it all, like many spouses. And if you're 30 years younger than your husband or wife, you're probably thinking, nothing's going to happen to me. I can handle this. Well, here's the thing. What we don't know in this situation is on the day that she ran errands, February 11th, was there a caregiver? Did she have anybody come to stay with Gene while she was gone? Or did she think, you know what, he'll be okay. I'll run out. I'll be back. It'll all be good. She probably never in a million years expected that anything like this would ever happen. And because she was young and healthier, she probably never set up a system of checks and balances like calling somebody every day or texting somebody every day or having somebody call or text one of them every day just to make sure that everything's okay. Something like, hey, my best friend, if I don't call or text you every 2 days, can you make sure that somebody comes to check on us, or at least call me and see how I am, or call my husband and see how he is, or call our kids, just make sure that we're okay. Or, say to your next neighbor, hey, if you don't see me, going in and out of the house every couple of days, can you just come over and check? Make sure we're okay. Nothing happened for 15 days. No phone calls, no emails, nobody wondering if they were okay or not. Nobody showing up. So if you're in this situation, think of establishing a set of check-ins. And then let's talk about these fall devices, right? That some of them have cell phone access and GPS, so regardless of where you are, in your house, at the grocery store, somewhere else, the caregiver can check and find out where you are. And if you are injured or something happens, you can push the red button and somebody will call you and make sure you're okay. And if you don't answer, they'll call 911 and send 911 to check on you. Now, obviously, you may be thinking, well, Pamela, if you pass out like the Hackmans and you fall to the floor, nobody's going to show up. Some of these devices actually have fall protection in them, so that if you fall, again, somebody's going to call. If you don't answer, 911's getting that call. This story of the Hackmans was a story that did not have to happen. It's a sad story. It's a regrettable story, but it's a story for all caregivers regardless of your age, or adults regardless of your age. I don't care if you're 40 or 60, if you're perfectly healthy. If you're living alone, make sure somebody sees you. You show up at work, you don't show up at work, somebody checks on you. Have a set of checks and balances just to make sure that you're okay if something happens. So let me start with this short list of things to do. If you live alone at any age, if you're older and you live alone, if you're married or partnered and you live together with somebody and you're both healthy or one of you is sick or both of you is sick, number one, make sure somebody knows if you're missing. If you don't show up to work, if you don't show up for your volunteer activity, if you don't check in, make sure somebody does something. Set up a buddy system with a friend or somebody in your family or another friend who lives alone or maybe another married couple who's caregiving. And have a buddy system just to make sure that everything is okay. Number two, get one of these fall devices or GPS devices or call devices so that if you don't have a cell phone, you got somebody with the push of a button who can call to make sure you're okay. Doesn't matter if you're in a car accident or at the grocery store or you're on a hike by yourself. If you have one of these devices that have cell phone and GPS access, somebody can check on you. The goal is to make sure that you have some sort of assistance, your cell phone on speed dial, something to get assistance as quickly as you need it if something unexpected or crazy happens. Number three, if you're older, if you live alone, if you're a married couple, again, make sure a caregiver, paid caregiver, family caregiver, stops by maybe once a week or twice a week, or maybe you have a housekeeper who comes and they know to call somebody if you don't answer the door. Or maybe you've ordered Meals on Wheels for your parent and you told the Meals on Wheels person, hey, mom or dad don't answer the door, just call me so I know to check on them. Maybe they're out right now, but maybe not answering the door is not something good, right? Number four, if you are a caregiver, if you're a couple, partnered, spouse, whatever, single, what's your backup plan for if something happens to you, or if you're a spouse caregiver situation and you're the healthy spouse and you suddenly die like Mrs. Hackman? What about your spouse? Can the person that you care for call 911? Or if they have dementia or Alzheimer's, is that dementia too advanced and they wouldn't know how to call 911? They wouldn't know how to pick up the phone. What's your plan? Number five, if you don't have your legal documents, power of attorney, medical and financial, living will or trust, don't wait. If your loved one has dementia and they can't make decisions and you die, who's going to take over? Get your legal house in order. There are articles on my website about this. There are courses on my website about power of attorney and guardianship if it comes to that. Number six, get your financial house in order. How much money are you saving, or how much money do you have to pay for care if you need to hire in-home caregivers? Medicare does not pay for everything. It only pays for medical care. And this is actually shocking to most people. Your money to pay for your care is your Social Security, it's your pension if you have one, it's the amount of money you saved. It could be long-term care insurance if you have the foresight to buy that. You are self-reliant financially to pay for your care. Do you know what an hour of caregiving costs? Do you know what a care community costs? Do you know what a nursing home costs? If you don't, investigate. And then figure out, do I have enough money to pay for a care community if I need to? And if you didn't plan well financially, if you're still young enough, start planning. If it's too late, if you're already retired and you're stressed about money and you can't pay for care, start investigating Medicaid and what it takes to qualify. Don't leave these problems up to your surviving spouse or your children or somebody else. Caring for yourself from a health perspective, from a legal perspective, from a financial perspective is your responsibility. If you need help with this, you can schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. That link is below. Number 7, are you being attentive to your health? Are you seeing the doctor to get good medical care? Are you doing your annual physicals and your tests? Now, I will say that caregivers often delay care. They put it off. I'm too busy taking care of somebody else. I can't go to the doctor. Yeah, I missed my mammogram last year. I didn't do that. And gee, I'm not feeling well. Well, do we wonder why? If you're too busy to take care of yourself, realize that you may get sicker than the person you care for, and you could die first. Get your regular checkups. Be proactive. Take care of your health if you want to continue to be the caregiver. Because if you don't take care of your health, whether you're the caregiver or the older person with health problems, right, you can't really expect others to come running to the rescue if you get sick. Number 8, be considerate of your spouse or partner. Talk about what happens if one of you gets sick first, and what you want for care, and how much you want for care, and what your expectation is of your spouse or your partner. Do you expect them to give up their job if they're still working to take care of you? Do you expect them to give up their social life and their friends and everything to take care of you? If you're older, look at your living situation. How practical is the house you live in? Is it a lot of care? Should you think about selling it to get a smaller place? Have you collected years and years and years of stuff that somebody else is going to have to get rid of when you die? Think about how to make your life easier for yourself and your partner or your spouse or your kids rather than more complicated when you need care. Talk about the possibility of, if you're married or partnered, which one of us is going to die first. Now, you may be totally wrong and predict that wrong, but it's likely that one person is going to die before the other. How does the other person go on? How do they live? Is there money? What's the housing situation like? All of that. Those are very, very important discussions. And they're easier to have, honestly, when you're healthy and there are no problems, because you can be more rational about it, right? Rather than being in the midst of some health emergency, or your husband or wife already has Alzheimer's and it's too late to talk about it and you can't have the discussions. Have them today. Talk about this today. Plan today. Make plans today. The focus of this video and in telling the story about the Hackmans is to help everybody understand that no matter who you are, unexpected things do and will happen. If you plan and have a backup plan and have discussions, you can reduce the likelihood of being in a situation like the Hackmans, where the healthy caregiver dies first and the person with Alzheimer's or dementia wasn't in a position to help themselves, maybe even recognize that the wife died, unable to call for help, maybe not even able to feed themselves or take medications or do anything, and they're unable to call for help. That could be a very, very sad situation. So I thank you so much for being here. Please use this video as a way to open a door to talk to your spouse, a partner, aging parents, your grandparents, anybody, about all of the unexpected things that can happen and do happen in care situations, so that you can have conversations today. You can make plans today to avoid some of these potentially unexpected situations. Because as a caregiver, as a person needing care, unexpected things will always happen, right? But if you can manage the unexpected by having a plan and a backup plan for the more serious things that can happen, then you'll be less stressed. You'll worry less. You'll know that, hey, if one of these things happens, we have this. The smaller things that happen, we will manage those as they come. But the bigger things, we have a plan and we know what to do. And we have a backup plan, plan A and a B, and we know what to do. I thank you all so much for being here and for being interested in this type of information. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. I'm a caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. Again, please press the button like this video, press the button follow my channel, comment below, thank you, share your story. Your comments, your participation help other people find their way here. And if you want to learn more about me, below this video are links to my website and all of the assistance that you can find on my website. I'll see you all again soon in another video.